Hurricane Helene, right. Category 4, devastating floods. We hear about the official death toll, at least 230. But, what about the families, the countless families dealing with the uncertainty, the heartache of missing their loved ones?
Yeah, it's a chilling reminder, isn't it, of the human cost of a disaster of this magnitude, especially, I think, when authorities are struggling to even get a handle on the number of people missing. It's chaos. And that's why this story is remarkable because it really does shine a light amidst all that chaos and devastation on the human spirit and its ability to rise above.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to meet Angela Scarberry and Ellie Erickson, two amazing women. And what they did was really turn personal tragedy into a lifeline.
You know what's really fascinating to me about this story is the way that their personal experiences with disaster
Right.
shaped how they responded. It's not just about reacting to a crisis, but about using your own experience, to help others.
You're right. And Angela, she lost her daughter's friend in the floods, and I think that really was a catalyst for her to take action. So she creates this Facebook group, Missing People in East Tiananmen, Western NC Due to Flooding.
And, it just exploded, this group. I mean, within days, nearly 90,000 members. And it speaks to that desperate need for information, for connection in these situations. Like, think about it. When the official channels are overwhelmed, where do people
Turn
turn?
to each other, right?
They turn to their communities.
And that's where Ellie comes in. So Ellie's living in Maui, and she saw firsthand the devastation from those wildfires back in 2023. So she brings that experience, right, to the table and uses her skills to actually create a Google sheet to track the missing people.
And, it's easy to overlook something as simple as a spreadsheet, but this is about more than that, right? It's about the power of using the tools we have, everyday tools, to actually tackle these monumental, overwhelming challenges. Ellie, she's a sales professional, right? She works for Marriott. She just applied those skills that she has to create something that could bring hope in real time to those who are just desperate.
It's really inspiring, isn't it, to see how they used their experiences, their own experiences with these disasters to really step up and help others. And the article doesn't go into a lot of detail about this, but you can only imagine, right, the emotional toll that this work must have taken on these women to be constantly surrounded by these stories of loss and just not knowing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can only imagine, right, the weight of every single name on that spreadsheet.
Yeah.
But, even amidst all that heartbreak, there were these amazing glimmers of hope.
Right, those incredible moments when a name on that list it gets marked found.
Exactly. I mean, that's what it's all about, isn't it? And the article actually highlights a really powerful example of this. It's a story about a mother and son who they got separated during the floods, but because of this Facebook group, because of a simple comment on that group, they were reunited. It just goes to show you, doesn't it, the power of community, the power of connection in those moments. It's not just about finding people, but about, bringing families back together.
It really is inspiring to see, what people can do when they come together in a crisis, right? How they can make a tangible difference. But it is important, and the article kind of touches on this, to remember that this is a community effort. It's not, an official one.
Right, right. And that's a really important distinction to make, isn't it? Because as much as we celebrate these amazing volunteer initiatives, we have to emphasize the importance of verifying information. Always go back to those official sources for confirmation.
Absolutely. I mean, it's about striking a balance, right, between utilizing that speed and that reach of these community networks, these amazing groups, but also acknowledging the authority, the accuracy that comes with official channels.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these volunteer-led things, these groups, they can be so vital in filling those information gaps, right? Connecting people when maybe the official channels are just overwhelmed. But you always want to be, double checking, cross-referencing with those official sources.
Oh, sure, for sure. And the article also, it emphasizes the need for continued support, the relief efforts, they're ongoing.
And that's really the takeaway here, I think, right? It's not just about Angela and Ellie and the amazing work that they've done, but it's about the bigger picture. They've shown us what's possible, what community can do, but that need for support, it doesn't just end there.
No, not at all. And I think this story just reminds us that even when things seem their bleakest, when the devastation is just so overwhelming, there are people out there, right? People who will step up, who will find ways to help. And if we can't be there in person, we can still contribute in meaningful ways.
Absolutely. The article mentions several ways, donating to those relief organizations, volunteering your time if you can.
Yeah.
Even something as simple as spreading awareness
Mm.
can make a difference, right? It's about finding those points of connection with those in need, even if it's through a screen, a Facebook group.
So where do we go from here? I mean, in this age of instant communication, right? How can we be better prepared to leverage all of this, the technology, the community support, when these disasters happen?
It's a question we should all be asking, right? I mean, this whole deep dive has really highlighted how much potential there is for good, right, to come out of these crises, even with something as basic as a spreadsheet, right? But it makes you think, doesn't it, about how we can use what we have, the technology, our own skills to build these communities that are more resilient, more supportive, more ready to respond when these things happen.
Yeah, and it's easy, isn't it, to feel totally overwhelmed when you're in the middle of one of these situations. But I think this story really, really shows us that even those small actions, they can have a huge impact, a ripple effect. What for you is like the most important takeaway, the thing that you really want our listeners to remember from this conversation?
For me, it really boils down to this idea of turning your own experiences, maybe even difficult ones, into something that helps others. Angela and Ellie, they didn't wait for somebody else to jump in and do something. They took action. They drew on what they knew. And I think that's such a powerful reminder that each of us, we have something to offer, especially in those times of need.
Yeah, 100%. This story, it's not just about Hurricane Helene, is it? It's about what it means to be human. It's about that capacity to connect, to care for each other, and to take action even when things look really, really tough. It's about finding hope, right? Even in those darkest moments and realizing that each of us, we can be a part of that, a part of bringing that hope to others.
Beautifully said. And sometimes, that hope, it comes from a simple spreadsheet, carefully maintained by someone who truly understands the weight of a name, the depth of a family's love. Really something.
Definitely something to think about. And on that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive. We'll be back next week with another deep dive into the world around us. Until then, take care, everybody, and let's all try to be a part of the solution.